Okay, first I want to apologize for how late this video is. I have a few things going on, so I do apologize for that. Alright, so let's get on with the show. The world of darkness. Sorry, had to do that joke one more time. Anyway, we have finally come to the last part of our trilogy. Yes, I know, I spelled it wrong, and now I can finally say, yes, I actually completed a trilogy, guys! Screw you, Jeff! So in the last part, we defeated Xande and stopped him from using the tower to open a door to the world of darkness. But we were too late. So instead, the door opened and took Une and this guy into the darkness. And now we, the Warriors of Light, must go in there to rescue them. In all honesty, I was hoping of making it to the end a lot sooner, but, you know, bad computer experiences and all. So, as the Warrior of Light, we need to once again throw ourselves into danger and save the world. This time going into a world that is supposed to be said to have poison in the very air. So, let's talk about that for a sec. Back in Final Fantasy III, the world of darkness acted in a similar way. When Xande was defeated, we find out that he already opened the door, so the warriors had to jump into the portal to stop the source. We find out that the entity that was actually manipulating everything was the Cloud of Darkness, who defeats us on our side. Now we have to go on her side to find the 4 dark crystals and save the Warriors of Darkness. Yes, as there are Warriors of Light, they also have Warriors of Darkness. However, they don't seem to like working together, so they're rather simple to defeat. Well, to my speculation, you defeat them, although you fight these things called Guardians, as they appear after you defeat a Guardian of one of the Dark Crystals, those being Cerberus, Ahriman, Echidna, and the Two-Headed Dragon. They appear after you defeat the Guardians and give you helpful hints into defeating the Cloud of Darkness. It's almost as if they were transformed into these Guardians or something. Anyway, the warriors had to work together with their dark counterparts to save the world of light from darkness. Funny thing here is that back then in the world of darkness, the warriors of the dark were forced to defend their world from being swallowed by the light, meaning they were never really bad guys in the first place, just balance keepers. Just like our warriors. Now, as I said before, there are some guardians that must be defeated in order to progress through the world of darkness. Some of these bosses are shared with 14, them being Ahriman, the dragon, and Cerberus, minus the dark crystals, and we have an emulated 3D MMO version of us going through Final Fantasy III's final dungeon. Now, because we have a penchant for trouble, we go in with guns blazing and swords waving. As we walk through the world of darkness, the first thing I noticed was that their sun was literally a ball of glowing darkness. How the hell does a sun like that even work? I mean, there is light for us to see, but what I was expecting was a world with utter and complete darkness. Like this. You see what I'm saying? Not seeing. You get the point. Our first boss is Ahriman, a Voisin who has this gimmick with Death Gaze, being that if you look at him when he does Death Gaze, you get doom. Of course, you can step on these panels to dispel it. In 3, Ahriman didn't have this ability, but was plenty dangerous with Meteor and Quake. Though not a Guardian in 14, he is a Guardian of the Earth Crystal in 3. 14's Ahriman also has a bunch of annoying telegraphs that will keep everyone moving. If you are hit with a light attack on the floor, you need to next be hit by darkness. This also works in vice versa, and honestly, I find it rather fun. You have to always keep moving in this battle or prepare to be raised several times. Next, we have the two-headed dragon who guards the fire crystal in the world of darkness. In 3, it has no magical skill to speak of, though it does do some good physical damage with the after effect of silence if he hits you just right. But in all, it's pretty easy. In 14, the two-headed dragon is actually the five-headed dragon, and has some skills to speak of, especially this skill that may wipe the entire party if not done right. Each head actually holds a different element, and each head needs to be taken out before its head explodes with heavy damage. In all, a long battle with some movement here and there. Not too difficult to beat. Though not a boss, I do want to tell you about the enemies they share. Queen Celia, the five-headed dog thing, and also a female. Somehow. Yeah, those are boobs. Zonde's clone, which means the Cloud of Darkness had backup just in case, and some ninjas to speak of in the first area. There are plenty more in 3, but 14 holds its own in terms of enemies. Now, the last boss before the Cloud of Darkness is Cerberus. In 3, Cerberus is a hard-hitting enemy that can attack 3 times in a round, making this a possible difficult battle to go through. He can use Blizzaga, Thundaga, and Fireaga that may hit the whole party, though I wouldn't say it'll take long if you know what you're doing. The 14 version, however, is a bit long. Also in 14, Cerberus is first chained to the door he guards, just like the Cerberus in Greek mythology. He is the guard dog to the deepest part of the world of darkness, as you can see. I just want to say, if you run this as a DPS, I guarantee that you'll have fun with this battle. Cerberus will eventually break out of his chains and attack in full force. He will eventually spew out Wolfsbane and a secretion that will cause many to anyone in its range. When in many, DPS must go into the Wolfsbane bile and get stuck inside just so you can be eaten and enter the fun part of the battle. Look! Unknown things! I'll let your mind wonder what that might actually be. Here, you destroy some of the inners of Cerberus. When you're done, well, yeah, there's no simple way of saying this, so yeah, you were shat right out. After defeating the Wolfsbane, you reattach the chains and the process repeats. When Cerberus is done, it's now time to fight the Cloud of Darkness, who doesn't look oh so bad, but I'd rather fight the one in Dissidia anyway.
Good and evil are powerless.
Oh yeah. This battle is on some level of frantic that I can't say would have been simple when it first came out. She shoots beams at the tanks, pillars of darkness at random players, that follows you by the way, summons dark clouds so to absorb them just to do a giant AoE, summons snakes that need to be taken care of ASAP, these things, those things, and a giant fuck you laser. This is a battle of patience and rushing at the same time. If you're too hasty, you'll die due to some random mishits. If you're too slow, you die due to AoE hits that can be very damaging if stacked. But when you finally beat her, you are graced with relief of knowing that you just saved the world. Again. Now comes the ball tuggler. You find out that Uni and Doga had to come into the world of darkness in order to break the covenant. That and the Cloud of Darkness was still alive. Well, because it is the darkness that surrounds its very world, so Una and Doga does a thing and we have to now escape. But not before finding out that Garaha has a piece of Alog royalty in him, for which Uni and Doga fully awaken before they leave. We escape, the door closes forever with the sacrifice of Uni and Doga, and all is well. But is it? We find Garaha kicking everyone out of the tower. It turns out that a memory was held within his blood. A memory telling him that he must close the doors until the rest of the world catches up with Alog intelligence. When the world's people can open the doors to the tower, then they will be ready to know the secrets of Alog technology. For you see, as the world is right now, society wasn't ready for its knowledge and technology, and so Garaha must wait within the tower in order for that day to come. Sid and the crew promise they will one day see him again with technology that will knock the Alog's socks off, and with that promise, the door closes, ending the trilogy once and for all. As a player, I find this quite sad and somewhat relieving. A friend must sleep for a long time waiting for future generations to open the door and we just move on with our heroic legacy as if this didn't mean anything. And it didn't, but, you know, a fine end to any game actually. I actually praised the writers for this one. I had tons of fun going through each dungeon. Some hard times here and there, but as a Final Fantasy fan, I find the gesture of 3 raid dungeons being that of Final Fantasy III a somewhat good feeling. I found it nostalgic and simple for first-time raiders. And now we've come to the end of our trilogy. I had fun with these videos and perhaps I would like to make more of these, but the world is a moving place and I must move with it. With this behind us now, we must look forward to the future, which comes down to this. What next? There are tons of lore in Final Fantasy alone, and tons more in other games. If you have any suggestions, then please, leave it in the comments below. I for one am having tons of fun doing all this, so don't be afraid to be creative and suggest something unique. With that being said guys, I'll see you in the next video. Have fun, and take care.